Hello, and welcome to your Week 3 Learning Objectives announcement. I hope you're finding these helpful on the weekly assignments. We don't meet in person as a class, and so I think it's good to see your professor and talking about the things out loud is helpful rather than just reading the assignment directions. Now that we're through the second week of the course, you should be pretty familiar with the schedule of assignments. 2 discussion board type posts, either on Blackboard or on social media, on Wednesday and Friday, and then more of an assignment rather than some kind of discussion on Sunday. And the posts should be pretty straightforward at this point. So like I said last time, these learning objective videos will focus mainly on whatever that assignment is that's due Sunday, since that's the thing that will be different. And so I want to give you specific directions for those. One quick note, I know I'm a little bit behind on the grading, and you're probably waiting for feedback on your first assignments to see how you're doing in the class, getting kind of a spot check to make sure you're doing things right. So I'm here to tell you that actually as soon as I'm done recording this video, I'm going to go in and grade your assignments for what you've turned in up to this point. So by tomorrow, you'll have your grades so far. And so that should give you a good spot check for where you're at. And then just to kind of update you with that, my usual turnaround will be about a week. So you'll know where you're standing now, and then usually you'll have about a week to wait. And the good news with that is with the exams, which our first exam isn't until a week from Sunday. So my video a week from today will talk about the first exam. But with those, except for 1 or 2 questions, they're auto graded. So you'll know your scores right away for those. And I'm sure you're probably always concerned about that. So just a quick update on the grading. All right, to this week's assignment, which is the primary source assignment. So that's due this Sunday, March 31st. Again, like the actuality film, this assignment is probably a little bit different than what you've turned in other classes because it's not a discussion board post. It's not a PowerPoint. It's not an essay. It's not an exam. It's documentation of a primary source. And again, I really like film history because it gives us an opportunity to do these type of assignments to be film historians. That's a different aspect of the film and media studies student that we get to approach in this class. And so I think we have some fun, creative, different assignments in here. At least that's my hope. And I hope you enjoyed making the actuality film. I've seen a couple, and I'm really looking forward to watching the rest of them later tonight. Okay, so with the primary source assignment, the directions are pretty clear, but I'm going to go through them step by step here to make sure you're clear on them as well. So choose a film made before 1960. That's the historian part. If you were to choose a more recent film, you wouldn't really be being a film historian. So that's why we're using an older film before 1960. Also try to avoid obscure films. So to be clear here, the film itself is not the primary source. This assignment, we'll follow up on this assignment later on with an annotated bibliography where you'll have just 2 entries, and the second entry will be a secondary source. That's later on. But my point in mentioning that now, not to confuse you, is that one of the main goals of this assignment is to learn the difference between primary and secondary sources. And the annotated bibliography assignment we'll do in a couple weeks will build on that and really clearly establish those differences. But this will focus on the primary source. And so here's the difference between a primary and a secondary source. A primary source is a historical source written about the film. So not the film itself, something written about the film, but a historical piece written about the film. So something from the time in which the film was released. A secondary source is a much later source, a much more recent source, again, that's written about the film. But a secondary source will have more of a critical approach, will be more of an analysis. Whereas a primary source, with a primary source, the reason we would include primary sources in, say, an essay or our own analysis would be to understand how the film was received at the time in its historical context. So looking at newspapers or magazines from the time the film was released helps give us an understanding of its historical significance, the context surrounding its history, how it was received at the time. And that's crucial to understanding any film that's older. And so that's the role primary sources play in a film history class. And so now that you know that difference, a secondary source would be more like what you would write analyzing the film. Okay, so now that you know what a primary source is, how it's different from a secondary source, what you're going to do with this assignment is it's very simple. You just write a one entry for a works cited or a references page for this one primary source. And so it needs to be written about a film before 1960. It should not be an obscure film. It should be, a popular film. It happened one night, something like that. So that you don't have a difficulty finding this source. I know there's some really cool, older, more obscure films, but you want it to be easy to find the source. So a relatively well-known film from before 1960. Pick the film, and once you've got the film picked out, look for a source. So if you're looking at the assignment page, and I should have mentioned that sooner, you should always have the assignment page open when you watch these videos. I'm sorry I forgot to mention that. But if you have the assignment page open, pick out a film, a fairly well-known film before 1960. That's the first bullet point. And then you look down at bullet point 2. Those are 2 places where you can find historical newspapers or journals from the time the film came out. And so it's really easy. You don't have to dig too deep. You can just search for the film in these databases. One is free and the other is available to you through the ASU library through funds you've already paid for. So you don't have to hunt around. I've provided these are the 2 best places to find historical film primary sources. So search through one or both of these and find a source you like, a primary source, something written about the film in a newspaper or journal from the time it was released. And then all you have to do once you've found your source is just write up the works cited entry. So you're not doing this for like an essay or something like that. It's just to get you practice with doing this kind of historical work. Because if you do become a film historian, this is the type of work you'll do. So that's the purpose of the class. So for the actual assignment, just put your name, the title of the film, the year it was released, and then the citation, what it would look like if it were on a works cited or references page. This is to be in MLA format. If you don't know MLA format, you can Google it. Purdue OWL is the best place. And, if this were an essay assignment or a more traditional assignment, I wouldn't be too worried about your works cited as long as you made a solid attempt. But because the main purpose of this assignment is to learn how to document primary film sources, I will be looking very closely, and that'll be the main grading criterion, is seeing how closely you meet MLA format in citing this source. So be sure you pay close attention to MLA format and do a good job with that. The last thing is, after the works cited entry, you want to have a link that if I click on it will take me directly to the primary source so that I can see it myself, which is the reason why we have works cited pages and hyperlinks in them. It's for your readers to be able to find those things easily. So be sure to have that hyperlink. Again, just like with MLA format, if you don't know how to put an active hyperlink in a document or a PDF, You can just Google that. It's very easy to do in Microsoft Word. Very easy to do. So be sure you save this as a docx or PDF, just like the instructions say, a Word document or PDF, and then you submit this directly through Blackboard. It's not a social media assignment like the last few you've done. And so that's it. Those are the directions. Hopefully they make more sense now if they didn't before. This is similar to the actuality film in that it's not a long assignment. It's not a complex assignment. It's a very short assignment, but because it's short and not difficult, I'm looking for precision and accuracy. In other words, it should be short and easy, but you should take the time that it takes to get it exactly right, if that makes sense. And that's because a film historian needs to be very accurate. So again, film history is just one part of film and media studies, and that may not be your specific focus, but it is the focus of this class, and you should have at least some background in it going into the media industries. And so we're looking for that precision, that accuracy that's part of film history through these types of assignments. But they're different than essays, they're different than exams, and even though they have to be precise, they probably won't take you as long. So hopefully it's enjoyable. Hopefully you'll have fun. And let me know if you have any questions. I'm always happy to answer questions via email. All right, thanks for listening. I hope you have a great week. And as always, I look forward to working with you. And right now, I look forward to reading the things and watching the things you've been producing the last couple of weeks. Have a great week.